how can I begin to talk about Jesus or my Catholic faith to my family and friends? This can be downright difficult. In some ways, it can almost be easier to talk to complete strangers about Jesus and our life of faith than sometimes our family and friends. I think of at least two reasons why this might be the case. One, our family and friends tend to be those people that know us the best. And so they also know our weaknesses and our personal foibles. And so sometimes there can be a fear in us of, well, if I start to talk about Jesus or my Catholic faith to them, they're going to think like, well, who do you think you are? Do you think you're better than us? Or like fearful of us playing this moral superiority. And so sometimes that can inhibit us from taking little risks in conversation. A second reason, perhaps, why we may be more reluctant to sharing our Catholic faith or talking about Jesus to our family and friends is we tend to have like normal routines of conversations and normal routines of how we relate to each other. Again, just ways of habit and the day in and day out of relating with our family and friends. So if we're not in the habit of conversing about things like Jesus or our Catholic faith, it can be like this big unknown. Like, I don't know, I'm really comfortable with all these other topics, but because we haven't talked about this at all, it's like this big black hole of I don't know what's going to happen if we go there. So sometimes there can be just plain and simple fear of talking to our family and friends. The point, though, is to really not be afraid, to actually not be afraid to take a step towards. It doesn't mean we have to take one big step all at once, but maybe even just some small steps. So to that end, I'm just going to give you a quick image with a couple points related to it. The image is this. You can be almost anywhere in the state of Minnesota on any given road, be it a major highway, a county road, even a gravel road. You can be anywhere in the state of Minnesota on almost any given road, and that road has the potential to take you to downtown Minneapolis. Think about it. You could be any given road, and it has the potential to lead you somewhere very specific. What is this analogy, or what does this mean for us? Well, think about it. With any given relationship or even a conversation, no matter where it is, however far from God, it has the potential to lead you to God. So think about this on any given day, like our conversations or relationships can eventually, if we take the right steps and the person is willing to come along with us, it can lead to Jesus and the important things of life. How might we be able to navigate how that goes? Well, enter what we call the 5 thresholds of conversion. And those 5 thresholds are the following: initial trust, spiritual curiosity, spiritual openness, spiritual seeking, and intentional discipleship. In other words, I hope you can see that there is a progressive growth in desiring something. A lot of us don't start with faith like being radically on fire from day one. We kind of cross these thresholds, if you will, of kind of like gradually trusting Jesus, trusting the church, trusting in the Bible and the Word of God, trusting in the moral order, and trusting in other people. And then if there's that initial trust, like we're not all in yet, but we're just, okay, like I'm open. Then it can lead to a little curiosity, like, okay, I do have some questions about this. If there's curiosity, then it can often lead to like a spiritual openness. Tell me more. I'm open to really stepping into it. And then that can really lead to what's called spiritual seeking. Someone is actually going from a passive role, never asking questions, never seeking out anything, to actually being a spiritual seeker. Like, I want to know who Jesus is. I want to know more about the life of the church. And if that's present, it can easily lead to intentional discipleship. Someone being all in to say, I want to surrender my life to Jesus and the church. So part of talking and conversing with family and friends about Jesus is a little bit of discernment on our end, not judging other people, but discerning other people of where might they be in relation to any one of those 5 thresholds. Is your mom or your dad or your family or friend, whoever is in your mind, where might they be? Are they at just a level of spiritual trust? We're not judging them, but they might not be able to have like this really big, deep conversation about, I don't know, a really big, deep conversation about Jesus or the church. But they might be open to kind of like a little entryway into eliciting like a curiosity. So sometimes our questions, especially done in the spirit of like, I've always been wondering about this, or have you ever thought about this? Can tend to just see if there's a little curiosity in the person to come along with us to speaking about the deeper things of life. So using these 5 thresholds, and again, not judging other people, but discerning and having a discerning ear, especially in your giving conversations and way of life, usually we can tell fairly quickly if this person, X, Y, or Z, could be open to going a little deeper. We don't start all at once. None of us really started right out of the womb in being intentional disciples. We just started usually with initial trust. And sometimes, often in college, is where my faith really started to have a little bit more of a spiritual curiosity to it. I wasn't really intentionally seeking the Lord until after college. It took some time, but I had people in my life that started to ask the right questions and elicit a sort of curiosity. I'm like, I wonder what this is about. And then life circumstances started to happen and made me start pondering things. So all this to say, we want to have a discerning heart to where might this person be in relation to those 5 thresholds, and then respond in a way that is in accord with where the Lord has them, here and now. Hopefully these things help you. God bless.